G'day and welcome back to the channel, especially to my UK viewers. This video is for you because it's all about drone and model aircraft registration in the UK, and things have changed. A few things have changed. If you've been paying attention, you will have seen that the CAA and the Department of Transport have been trying to roll out a drone registration scheme that requires everybody who has a drone or a model aircraft weighing between 250 grams and 20 kilos to register themselves and then put their registration number on the drone. This has been done in the USA, it's been done in Ireland, and the UK want to do it as well. So they have done this, but then a lot of people complained to the UK government this wasn't fair on the hobby of flying model aircraft, which has an astonishing track record of safety and responsibility. Why are we being lumped in with all the rogue drone operators who are the real problem? So the government threw it back to a committee to consult and to try and fix up those anomalies. And the committee then issued a report, and I reviewed that report. I found some glaring errors, some glaring omissions, some glaring contradictions, even an admission that the registration system would achieve nothing in terms of improving the safety. Yet, we look at this final outcome, the reports come back to CAA, and this is what they've dumped on the model, flying and drone community. And it's called the Drone and Model Aircraft Registration and Educational Service Update, 21st of October 2019. And let's look at what it says. It says registration is mandatory from the 30th of November 2019. So that hasn't changed. Even though they admitted it serves no purpose, they're going to force you to register. Now, on the plus side, there are plus sides to this. Let's run through the plus sides first because they're really important. It says that the cost for this registration will be £9 renewable annually. That's better than £16.50, isn't it? They've reduced the price because the committee reported back that a high price could be an impediment to widespread compliance. So you need to get the price down. It's $5 in the USA, it's free in France, and so you need to get the price down, so otherwise people won't register and then the whole system falls apart. Right, so they've dropped it to £9. I don't think that makes the blindest bit of difference, because what is the difference here? £7.50. £7.50 is not going to make or break anybody, and it's the principle of the thing. People don't want to pay £9 for nothing, and that's what you're getting for nothing. People have emailed me and said, I don't mind paying a registration fee because I pay a registration fee for my car and I pay a registration or license fee for when I go fishing. And my response to them is, yes, you pay a registration fee for your car, but in return, you get a road to drive it on. It'd be pretty damn useless without a road. And you pay registration to go fishing, the license, but you get, that money goes into managing the fisheries, and you get a return. You get better fisheries and good fish stocks and rivers and things. That's why you pay that fee. What are you going to get for your £9 that you don't have already? Nothing. You're getting nothing back. This money goes into a black hole, buys teas and biscuits and scones for the people in CAA and Parliament, probably flowers in all the offices. It doesn't do a damn thing to improve your life as a model flyer or a drone flyer. So that makes the £9 unreasonably high. It should be nothing, if anything at all. Right. So this all comes into effect. You've got to be registered by the 30th of November 2019, and the registration system opens on the 5th of November, Guy Fawkes Day. I hope some of you are listening. There's a clue. What should we do about this? There's a clue. Maybe they're expecting that. I don't know. So that's one of the positive things. The price is lower. That's really seriously. But the biggest positive, the single biggest positive in this, as a result of the committee's recommendations, is down here where it comes to flyer ID. Now, the registration system consists of two parts. If you fly models or drones, you've got to have a flyer ID, and that proves that you have the necessary competence, but it doesn't. But they claim it does, but it doesn't. Anyway, I'll get onto that later. And you have operator ID. Right, now let's start with the flyer ID. Previously, there was an age restriction on this. You could not get a flyer ID unless you were 16 or something or over, which meant if you're little Johnny, 8 years old, you're barred from the hobby unless you can convince mum or dad to get a flyer ID, sit an exam and become competent and have them supervise you every time you fly. It was never going to work. Fortunately, the CAA has responded to the committee's recommendations, and it has come back and said, we're going to remove the age restriction. Minimum age, none. So even little 8-year-old Johnny can sit the online exam and get his flyer ID and legally fly his drone or his model aircraft. So, woohoo, isn't that good? But this is a bit I don't understand. It says, but children under 13 can only register with a parent or guardian present. And how do you get your flyer ID? Well, you sit an online test. It says anyone that wants to fly must pass an online theory test on flying safely and legally. The test has 20 multiple choice questions and the pass mark is 16. So you don't need to know all the rules, just 4/5 of them. And you can take the test as many times as you know. I'll get onto that in a moment. But anyway, so Johnny goes online, does the test, passes the test, fills in a few details, gets his flyer ID. Why the hell does it matter whether mum and dad or parent or guardian are looking over his shoulder when he does it? Is it so he won't cheat? But hang on, this is a test made for cheating, because look, the test has 20 multiple choice questions. I think there's 4 options in every question. And it says you can take the test as many times as you need. And I've taken the test. With the group who form a panel on the Drone and Sundry webcast every Tuesday at 2100 GMT, we went through the test. And the test is in the format, here's a question, here's 4 options. So you might, question 1, you choose option A, wrong. Okay, choose option B, wrong. Okay, option C, wrong. Option D, correct. Oh, great, move on to question 2. So you can just go step through. You don't need to know a damn thing. You can just try each option until you get the right one, and you move on to the next question. So this is not educational. This is just anyone who's persistent enough to just step through the questions and try every answer will pass with flying colours. They'll get full marks. And apparently, once you've done that, once you've passed that test, you'll get a flyer ID which acts as your acknowledgement of competency as a remote pilot. What bullshit is that? Seriously, competence as a remote pilot. What does CAA think competency is? It's your ability to mash the keyboard often enough to get through an exam. Competency involves far more than just fudging an exam. Competency involves judgment, skill, understanding. None of those things come from an online test, especially when you can just cheat your way through. It's like, this is ridiculous. This shows that the justification for this exam is null and void. But this is a case that so often happens with bureaucracies. The government has to be seen to be doing something. So the bureaucracy has provided them with a way to be seen to be doing something, even if that something achieves nothing. It's all about smoke and mirrors. This is ridiculous. But if you're a member of the BMFA, or if you've got a commercial drone operator certificate, you don't have to worry about this test, because if we go up here, it says for holders of current CAA permissions or exemptions for drone operations, e.g. such as those operating under Article 94, commercial operators, and modelers holding an achievement certificate used by the UK Model Aircraft Association with a CAA reviewed achievement scheme, they will be exempt from having to undertake the online education and training test. So you won't have to take that test. You've proven you know what you're doing. You don't have to, that was recommended. That was a big complaint. Commercial operators didn't want to have to take the stupid damn newbie test when they'd already proved themselves to a much higher standard. And the CAA has taken that on board and said, okay, you don't have to. Because you've got to remember, CAA has to be seen to be responding to this committee report. They don't have to do everything, but they have to do something so they can prove, look, yes, we did listen, because look at the changes we made. None of them count for anything because they're just fiddling with the tiny little details. The overall emphasis hasn't changed. We've done what we wanted to do, or the politicians wanted us to do, but we've just acknowledged that that review happened. So it's rubbish. It's utter rubbish. But let's move on to the whole issue of registration, because we were hoping that we'd have a similar situation to that which occurs in Canada and which will be occurring in Australia, where if you're a member of the National Model Flying Body or a recognised body, you wouldn't have to register with the aviation regulator because you'd already proven yourself to be responsible, and the register was basically for people that could be a problem. So that's what was hoping would happen here. And if you run down here to the this piece here, you might think that's exactly what's happening. It says members will not need to register as an operator with the CAA system if they are a current member of these associations, and those associations are ARPAS UK, the BMFA, the Scottish Aero Models Association, the Large Model Association, and FPV UK. So if you're a member of any of those organisations, you will not have to register as an operator with the CAA system. So it sounds like, hey, great, we don't have to register, woohoo! But that's not true, because if we go down here further, it says who must register. It says, as there are no exemptions, everyone must register, including members of model flying associations. But hang on a moment. Didn't we just read that members will not need to register as an operator with the CAA system if they're a member of these associations? Isn't this a wild contradiction? No, it's weasel words, bureaucratic weasel words. The key takeaway from this thing here is with the CAA system. So you will have to register. BMFA members, you will still have to register, but you won't have to register with CAA. Why is that? Let's read on and find out. It says, with permission, the associations listed above will collect the registration fee from members directly and supply their data to CAA. So what the CAA is saying is, we're appointing these organisations as registration agents for our database. How clever is that? That is so clever, because I suspect that CAA looked at all the feedback that were in the forums and online social media, people saying, we're not going to register. I'm a BMFA member, but BMFA says don't register, and I'm not going to register. And the CAA were thinking, how are we going to get our money out of these people? They're not going to register. I know what. Let's force these organisations to collect it for us. We're a government organisation. We can tell them they have to do that. So they've basically said to these organisations, you're going to collect the money and you're going to narc on your members. You're going to give us their details. Now, the only thing I'm not sure of here, and this is very vague, this is not what you want to put up for regulation. It's so vague. It says with permission. But it doesn't define whose permission and for what. Does this mean that with the permission of the CAA, these associations will collect the registration fee? Or does it mean that they can only collect the registration fee with the permission of their members? It doesn't say. It's not clear. It's totally ambiguous. So we don't know. And I suspect that none of these organisations yet know either. So until that's clarified, the whole thing's a dog's breakfast. And even CAA acknowledges this is going to take a while to clarify and set in place, because they've said that this setup where BMFA will basically act as an agent will take place by the 31st of January next year. But in the meantime, an exemption from the need to register will be put in place before registration is compulsory to cover association members. So if you're a BMFA member, you will not have to register until the 31st of January. You'll get an extra 2 months of breathing space, because it's going to take that long for the BMFA to get set up to act as a collection agency for the CAA. So it's all up in the air. They don't know what the hell they're doing. It's really kind of a big mess. And to prove how much of a big mess it is, if we go back here, it says the exemption from having to sit the test, if you're a commercial operator or a BMFA A certificate holder, it says the exemption will run until the 30th of June 2020 when new regulations are expected. Hang on. So what they're saying is, we've made such a dog's breakfast of this thing. We realise that this is just bad and we're going to have to review it, and we're going to try and get it all sorted by the 30th of June next year. They've given themselves an extra 7 months. And instead of acting like CAA in Australia, they realised this is really hard and we're not prepared for this registration thing. Let's postpone it for 3 years. They've said no registration until 2022. It was going to be this year, but they put it out to 2022 because they didn't want to make a dog's breakfast of it and get it wrong. CAA and the Department for Transport and the British government have said, we don't care if we get it wrong, we've got to be seen to be doing something, so we're going to blunder ahead for 7 months, and then hopefully by the end of June we'll have worked out what we really want to do. But in the meantime, we're going to tax everybody £9 and we're going to force the model flying organisations to narc on their members. This is terrible. This is the worst possible outcome, because it means that possibly, depending on what that with permission means, it may be that if you remain a member of the British Model Flying Association, you will automatically be registered with CAA. They may be required by law to pass your details on, and they will bill you the £9 and you'll have to pay the £9. If that's the case, I'd say resign straight away from the BMFA. Don't just say, no, I don't want to do that. And don't register and fly sub 250, or don't fly, because June 30th, 2020, that's summer. So no one's going to be flying much over the winter. You're not going to lose much by not flying or by resigning from the BMFA. So leave it until next summer before you decide what to do, because it's quite likely that when June 30th rolls around, the CAA will say, well, actually the registration's not doing anything, it's really expensive, we're just going to can it. Registration schemes for various things are often started with a great deal of fanfare and then they're canned pretty shortly afterwards because they just don't work. It's proven time and time again they don't work. In Canada, they started a gun registration scheme. It was going to cost them, I think, about $500,000, and was it $30 million later they canned it because it was just a complete dog's breakfast? That could happen with this. So don't give them £9 until you have to. Leave it until the 1st of July when the new regulations apparently will be in, and it may say registration is no longer a thing. So there you go. So this is really, really bad. I mean, there are a couple of good things: the lower price, then don't have to take the exam, which is just a joke anyway, and not keeping kids out through age, allowing kids back into the hobby. They're all good things. They're all good things. But the rest of it is just, it's rubbish. Absolute, total rubbish. And, the other thing I noticed here is that this is a document that is going to be seen by hundreds of thousands of people. And this CAA has to convince the public, the drone owners, that you can trust us with your information. We're not going to sell it. We're not going to let spotty-faced Romanian hackers take it and sell it on the dark web. We're going to be, we're going to pay attention to detail. We're going to lock it all up. We're going to tighten the screws, torque down the nuts. We're going to check the gaskets, make sure that nothing can leak out of our systems. We're CAA. Attention to detail is our game, because aviation safety is all about attention to detail. Why do you think that pilots have checklists and do pre-flights? Every detail is important. So CAA's mantra is attention to detail. And if you don't pay attention to detail, bad things happen. So you would think You would think that publishing this document, which defines the whole registration system, they'd have paid a bit of attention to detail. They'd have at least got someone to check it over before they threw it up on their website with reckless abandon, but I don't think they did. Let's take a look here. For example, the registration system, there are two elements to the online system. One is registering as getting your flyer ID, and the other one is getting the operator ID, right? And it says the cost for this will be £9 renewable annually. Okay, let's go down and check, shall we? That's what it says at the top of the document. This is a one-page document. This could all fit on an A4 sheet of paper. One single page. It's not rocket surgery. But let's go down here to the prices and things, and it says flyer ID, fee is free. So it must be the operator ID that costs the £9 a year, right? Let's go down. What does it say? Fee, currently under consultation. No, it's not. It was under consultation when the committee was in session and they were listening to the options, but they came back. And the £9 per annum fee was accepted, and that's what you pay. So they haven't even got this right. It's not currently under consultation. It's £9. You couldn't even get your own document right. Your attention to detail is appalling. You couldn't even take 5 minutes to give this to the tea lady, to give it a quick browse over while she's boiling the kettle. No, you don't care. And you expect people to give you their details, their valuable personal information to go in this database, and their credit cards, when you can't even be bothered proofreading the documents you've got. How do we know that this database hasn't got equal massive great holes caused by inattention to detail? Seriously, it's not good enough. And if I was a UK model or drone flyer, I would be saying, I'm steering well clear. And if you're going to force me to register through the BMFA, I'm going to cancel my BFMA membership before it becomes unconditional. And the whole thing is that the committee report said you've got to protect the hobby. This will kill the hobby if it goes ahead, and people are required to be reported or registered by the BMFA because a lot of people won't want to, and some people don't need to. For example, if you fly control line, where is it? Control line, where is it? Somewhere here. Yeah, a lot of people still fly control line at the they might not fly radio control models, they fly control line. They don't need to register or comply with the registration education regulations, right? Which is kind of funny because again we do have a contradiction here. Didn't it say who must register? Everybody. There are no exemptions, right? No exemptions. Everyone must register. But down here it says control line. There's an exemption. Well, is there an exemption or isn't there? Are there exemptions or not? This says they're issuing an exemption for control line flyers. Here it says nobody's exempt. This document, it's like the committee report. It's full of contradictions. There's no attention to detail, hasn't even been proofread. I used to teach tertiary education. If I was a lecturer and someone handed this in as work done, I would give them very bad marks for this. It just shows sloppiness, lack of attention to detail. It's terrible, it's crap. And remember, but of course, when you're dealing with a government organisation, they don't have to pay attention to detail. They don't have to be right. They only have to be part of the government because they can tell you do this and you've got to do it, even if it's completely stupid. But in the case of drone registration, you don't have to do it. You can choose to fly sub 250. You can choose not to fly until the summer next year, or you can fly underground where there are no aircraft. Therefore, there's no safety issues. Those are your options. Personally, I would just not register for whatever reason. Whatever the reasons are, I would not register. This is very bad. It's very poor. It is ridiculous, especially when the committee report said registration will not reduce the risk to other airspace users from drone operators or model flyers. So why are you being forced to do it? Anyway, that's my rant. It's a report, it's a rant. I'd like to hear what you've got to say because it's really important. I want to hear what if you live in the UK and you've got a drone or a model aircraft, what do you think of this? Have they just basically, apart from the age thing, decided, nah, we don't care what the committee said, we're going to make some tiny little tweaks so we can say we listened, but we're really just going to do what we want to do. You tell me. And are you going to register, or are you going to say, nah, stuff it? And if you're a member of the BMFA and the BMFA has no option but to register you on your behalf and pass your details over and charge you £9, are you going to stay a member of the BMFA? Or are you going to say, I'm sorry, I cannot be a member of your organisation if the CAA is going to make you do that? To the comments with you. Thank you to my Patreon supporters, by the way. I was able to find the mistakes in this document. One guy in New Zealand, on the other side of the world, who his basically almost his entire source of income is from his Patreon supporters, who has to worry every week whether he's going to make rent. I was able to find the mistakes, yet the CAA, with the might of the UK government, the hundreds of billions of pounds they've got every year to spend on getting things right, they couldn't do it. Seriously. Don't trust them with your information. Seriously, you can see why. Anyway, thanks for watching. Spread the word, links in social media, other people get to see this, it's really important. If you're gonna, ignorance of the law is no defence. So if you're gonna break the law, do it with knowledge. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.